I think we can get going.
All right, go ahead, Dale.
Hit the first slide.
Yep.
Welcome, Planning Commission members, staff, and guests. We ask for your patience during this virtual meeting. I'll go off script, and for the patience you had to get us started, we appreciate your understanding. Multiple staff members are behind the scenes to make sure that the meeting runs smoothly and all applicants and citizens are able to communicate with the commission at the appropriate times.
During the meeting, you will see live images or still images of the Planning Commission members and the administrator. However, images of the applicant and the public will not be visible. Participants may participate in the meeting virtually via email or phone or logging into the web address. The public will also be able to participate via 3 methods. When participating, please provide your name with spelling for documentation purposes. The public may participate in the following ways. You may watch it on YouTube, you may email, you may call in by phone, which there's options, or log into the web session. To watch the Planning Commission meeting, the public may stream the meeting through the City TV accessed at www.youtube.com/Columbia-SC-Government. You may also participate via email if you'd like to submit letters or statements. You can send them to cocboardmeeting@columbiasc.gov, leading up to or during the meeting, as this account will be monitored during the meeting. Emails, letters will be read into the record for each case. You may also call into the meeting. So if you're watching on YouTube, you may call in to participate by calling 855-925-2801. When prompted, please enter the meeting code 8552. And I'll read that again. The public may participate via phone. You may call 855-925-2801. And then when prompted, please enter the meeting code of 8552. Those participating by phone will receive 3 options on how to participate. You'll get a *1 option, which will allow you to listen. You'll get a *2 option, which will allow you to record a voicemail message that will be read into the record, and a *3 will allow a participant to be placed in a queue so that you may speak live when prompted. My understanding is one of the options, *2 and *3, may not be working at this time. If Andrew can hear me, could Andrew please confirm which options are actually working at the moment for us?
Hi, John. This is Andrew.
Hi, Andrew.
I would have to go check again. Earlier it was *2 that was working.
Okay. All right, so those who are participating from the public, *1 is working as well as *2. *3, we are not positive, so we will monitor that to make sure that that is or is not an option going forward, and we'll let you know prior to beginning any public input sessions this evening. You may stream the meeting virtually on the web at publicinput.com/COCPC. We will start off the meeting now with the roll call of members. If the members of the Planning Commission could unmute their cameras and sound so that we can hear them. I will start off. Mr. Cohn.
Here.
Mr. Frost.
Here.
Ms. Hartz.
Here.
Ms. Mandel.
Here.
Ms. Stigmeyer. Mr. Stigmeyer.
Here.
Dale. Got it. Thanks. Mr. Tupper. Mr. Tupper. Is he muted? I'm assuming, Ford, we couldn't hear you say here. I see you, but I don't hear your voice, but we'll go with that. Mr. Waits.
Here.
And is Miss James on the call? I think Miss James is not here. All right. Then I'll let Dale start with this next slide.
Brief review of the meeting format. Applicants with requests before the Planning Commission are allotted a presentation time of 10 minutes. This time should include, but not limited to, an overview of the project, case history, and any pertinent meetings held regarding the request. This time also includes all persons presenting information on behalf of the applicant, such as attorneys, engineers, and architects. This time limit does not include any questions asked by the Planning Commission or staff regarding requests. Members of the general public are given the opportunity to address their concerns in intervals of 2 minutes. The administrator has a timer and will make presenters aware of when their time has expired. The Planning Commission reserves the right to amend these procedures on a case-by-case basis. The Planning Commission uses the consent agenda to approve non-controversial or routine matters by a single motion and vote. Examples of such items include approval of site plans, annexations, and street names. If a member of the Planning Commission or the general public wants to discuss an item on the consent agenda, that item is removed from the consent agenda and considered during the meeting. The Planning Commission then approves the remaining consent agenda items.
The consent agenda this evening consists of the following: the approval of the March 2nd, 2020 minutes, a comprehensive plan map amendment and zoning map amendment of pending annexation, which is item number 2 on your agenda, which is 940 Grayson Road. It is a request to annex to assign and to assign land use classifications of employment campus and assign a zoning of general commercial C3. The property currently is classified as mixed residential high density and zoned RSLD by Richland County. The consent agenda also consists of interim comprehensive plan map amendments, interim zoning map amendments for pending annexations for 215 Bush River Road, a request to recommend to annex, assign interim land use classification of Urban Core Regional Activity Center, and assign interim zoning of general commercial district. The property is currently classified as a mixed residential, high density, and zoned general commercial by Richland County. Also this evening on our consent agenda, we have a zoning map amendment for 2.66 acre portion of South Fort Jackson Boulevard. A request to rezone the 2.66 acres of the parcel from single family residential district RS1 and general commercial district C3 with a portion of floodplain area FP to general commercial district C3 with a portion in the floodplain area FP. The consent agenda also consists of a number of site plan reviews. The first site plan is 567 Spears Creek Church Road. It's a request for construction of a gas station with a convenience store. The property is zoned PUDC, and there is a traffic impact study attached to that agenda item. The sixth item on our agenda is also a site plan item. It's 201 Lake Murray Boulevard. It's a request for approval to construct an expansion of a church. The property is zoned PUD-LS or Planned Unit Development Large Scale. Our final site plan on the consent agenda this evening is for 37.41 acres at the address of 105 Sparkman Drive. Request site plan approval for the construction of a commercial subdivision. The property is zoned M1 Light Industrial. And we have a street name change this evening. That street name change is within the Bull Street Planned Unit Development, Matilda Evans Street and Sable Streets.
Is there anyone from the Planning Commission that would like any item removed from the consent agenda? Is there anyone from the public that would like to have an item removed from the consent agenda? Please communicate
Bear
by
with
sending.
me. This is Andrew Livigood. I'm double checking.
Okay, great. Dale will just review for those who might be viewing how they might be able to communicate, Andrew.
Please communicate by sending an email to cocboardmeeting@columbiasc.gov. Please communicate via phone by pressing *2 to leave a voicemail or star 3 to speak in person, should that be working. We will pause to allow communication from the public. Please provide your name and spelling.
We will wait for confirmation from Andrew if there's anyone who would like to participate.
John, I do not see anyone at this time that would like to comment.
Okay, we will move forward, Dale.
Do I have a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda, subject to all conditions contained in the case summaries?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented by the administrator.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second?
One point of discussion, I do want to mention in one of the case summaries, the one that's in Wood Creek Farms, there was an error in the text of the case summary. It mentioned that it was in the Harbison PUD, and it should have actually stated it was in the Wood Creek PUD. A revised case summary was sent out to Planning Commission, so we just want everyone to I just want to acknowledge that that was caught and communicated to Planning Commission.
Thank you, John. We did receive a copy of that. Appreciate it. Now, should I call for a vote, John, or would you like to call individually by Planning Commissioner?
It probably would be good if I call it by commission members. So we have a motion and a second, and I will call out a roll call here. So Mr. Cohn.
Yes.
Mr. Frost.
Yes.
Ms. Hartz.
Yes.
Ms. Mandel.
Yes.
Mr. Stigemeyer.
Yes.
Mr. Tupper.
Yes.
Mr. Waits.
Yes.
It's a motion passes, Mr. Chairman.
The Planning Commission will now move forward with those items on the regular agenda.
Mr. Chair.
I'll read this. Sorry, I didn't put my my cue in for myself here. The regular agenda this evening consists of one item on the it's a comprehensive plan map amendment and zoning map amendment for a pending annexation. This is a 14.4 acres near Garner's Ferry Road, as well as 17.9 acres on Garner's Ferry Road and 11.0 acres off of Benson Road, as well another 11 acres off of Benson Road and 17 acres off of Benson Road, as well as 4.96 acres off of Benson Road and 44.5 acres off of Garner's Ferry Road, and finally another 45 acres off of North Garner's Ferry Road. This is a request to recommend an annexation, assign a land use classification of community activity corridor, urban edge residential small lot UER1, and urban edge residential large lot UER2, and assign a zoning of general commercial C3, office and institutional C1, single family residential RS3, and single family residential in a flood protective overlay RS-3-FP. The property is currently classified as neighborhood medium density and zoned general commercial GC and rural RU by Richland County.
Mr. Chair, due to my involvement in this particular project, I'm gonna have to recuse myself, so I will mute myself and eliminate my need from the video.
We will use the following outline for regular agenda items. The administrator will introduce the case, which he has. The applicant will have 10 minutes to make a presentation, should they like to. Planning Commission may ask questions. The public will be allowed to participate via email, voicemail, voice in person, or via the web. Planning Commission may ask additional questions of the applicant, and then there will be action taken by the Planning Commission.
Mr. Chairman, Dale Stigmeyer, this is David Lockwood. If I'm allowed to speak on behalf of this matter.
Please do. Thank you, David.
Thank you very much. For Chairman and the Commissioners, I just want to thank you for allowing us to participate. My name is David Lockwood. That is spelled Lockwood. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Colliers International, South Carolina. We have the pleasure of marketing the property that is presented to you. And hopefully joining via telephone conference is Mr. David Burnside, who is the owner of the property. And this property is submitted to you for annexation. Colliers has the pleasure of working with the Burnside family on this property for quite some time. Craig Waits is the agent who has recused himself from the deliberations. And so Mr. Burnside and I are happy to answer any questions that the commission members may have on this matter.
Mr. Lockwood, let's pause, and I want to make sure that if Andrew Livinggood could confirm that Mr. Burnside might be on the call. Or did Mr. Burnside call into the Zoom call? Does anyone?
Mr. Burnside was calling into the public input telephone number.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Burnside is on the line. I'm not positive I can patch him through, but I will ask him if he has any comments to add.
Okay. In the meantime, on the slide for Planning Commission, you can see it's a very large parcel. The front half is planned for the commercial activity center. The orange part on your screen is the urban edge, and then your future land use plan is the yellow, which is the FUL and the UER2. We move to the next screen, you can see the proposed zoning, and that's where off of Garner's Ferry, you would have a portion of that property zone C3, another portion zone C1, which would be a buffer of office between the C3 and the residential, and then the larger portion towards the northern part of the parcel would be RS3, and then you can see the blue lines that run through there, which are some special flood hazard areas that run through the property. And Andrew, feel free to interrupt at any point if Mr. Burnside would like to speak. Mr. Lockwood, do you have anything else that you would like to point out? Can I go to a particular map or anything that would be helpful? Let me know.
Mr. Burnside and I would be happy to answer any questions. We continue to market this property. There is no specific use for this property right now, but desire to have it annexed into the city of Columbia due to its proximity to the city.
All right, we will, does the Planning Commission have any questions about the project for staff or Mr. Lockwood or Mr. Burnside?
Has there been any feedback from the public, positive or negative, about this project so far?
I think Mr. Lockwood could probably answer that question.
Yeah, thank you for asking that question. The agent handling the property distributed approximately 50 letters to nearby property owners. We had one question that was submitted about why the property might be zoned C1. Of course, we know that C1 is lesser in nature than the C3 retail and provides a good buffer to adjoining property owners. That was the only question that surfaced after the 50 letters were distributed to nearby property owners.
Does that help, Ms. Mandel?
Yes, I just was curious if there had been any, it sounds like there was a question, but I guess I was curious if there was any sort of negative or positive feedback, but it sounds like.
Nothing that has been, that's come through planning. We'll double check. Often people also call the zoning. Rachel, Bailey, the zoning administrator, is on the call. Rachel, could you let us know if anybody has called in the last few days that I wasn't aware of?
Hi there. No, we haven't gotten any calls regarding this annexation.
Great. Thank you, Rachel.
You're welcome.
That was all I wanted to know.
Great. Thank you. Is there any other questions from any other planning commission members? Mr. Chair, I think we might want to open up to public comment.
Yep, we would encourage those that would like to communicate via email to begin sending in letters and emails via cocboardmeeting@columbiasc.gov. We also encourage those wanting to leave a voicemail to be leaving their voicemails using *2. We will start to receive comments from the public who choose to speak via phone live. Please provide your name and spelling. Please press *3 to join the queue.
Mr. Livingood, do we have anyone on your end that has been able to use the *3 option to join the meeting?
I'm attempting to get Mr. Burnside to add comments.
Okay. I'm going to guess that Andrew is probably going to work with Mr. Burnside. This happened to staff a few days ago when we were testing this out, and I believe we're probably getting a double feed, so he probably needs to turn the volume down on one of the items that he's viewing. So Andrew will work that out in a minute here.
Speak.
Fellows, may I make a suggestion?
Sure.
If you can ask if Mr. Burnside can hang up, I will have him on my speakerphone and he can talk directly through using my audio coming through the computer.
Okay, that sounds like a plan. So I'm getting a message that he was double audio. So Mr. Burnside, if you can hear us, if you could hang up and call Mr. Lockwood, Mr. Lockwood will patch you through into his sound.
Okay, Mr. Burnside, hopefully they can hear you. Would you try that? You can go ahead and speak.
I lost you again. Hang on. Are you there?
Yes, if you'd like to go ahead and speak to the commission members.
Yes, we're applying for the zoning change and annexation of the city. Hope y'all consider this, and if you got any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them. We've been working with Craig Wakes and Colliers on this, and seems like the proper way to go.
Great, thanks, Mr. Burnside. We could hear you very clear through that process, and thank you, Mr. Lockwood, for patching him through that way. Andrew, do we have anyone else in the queue or anyone who has sent in any emails or would like to join the Planning Commission with comments on this item in any other way?
I do not see anyone in the queue. I do have one other caller on the line, but they have not indicated they wish to speak.
Okay. We will pause for just a minute to let that other individual who is on the public input call to see if they want to speak or raise their hand. And if we don't hear anything in a few minutes, we will move forward here. All right, Mr. Chairman, I don't believe we have anyone else in the public that would like to provide comments with regard to this particular item via any of our participation options. So
Great.
I'll turn it over to you. I think I can get to the next slide. There we go.
Well, we have heard from all the public via emails, letters, web, and phone. We'll pause for one last moment to allow anyone else to decide if they would like to be heard. Hearing no response from the public, we'll move forward with questions from the commission. Any further questions?
Is there any other questions from the public or from the planning commission? I'm sorry.
Doesn't sound like it.
Okay.
Great. With that being the case, can someone make a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we recommend approval of annexation with land use map and zoning map amendment for item number 9 on our regular agenda items.
And just for the record, that was Mr. Frost speaking.
Great. Can I get a second?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hartz. Mr. Fellows, would you please call roll call for vote?
Yes. Mr. Cohn.
Yes.
Mr. Frost.
Yes.
Ms. Hartz.
Yes.
Ms. Mendel.
Yes.
Mr. Stigemeyer.
Yes.
Mr. Tupper.
Yes.
And Mr. Waits is abstaining from this item.
Great.
We have a positive vote. The motion passes.
Thank you.
We do not have any other business this evening.
Okay. As there is no other business, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Mr. Fellows, can you please call roll?
Yes. Mr. Cohn.
Yes.
Mr. Frost.
Yes.
Ms. Hartz.
Yes.
Ms. Mendel.
Yes.
Mr. Stigemeyer.
Yes.
Mr. Tupper.
Yes.
And Mr. Waits.
Yes.
We have a motion to adjourn. I would appreciate all of the patience everyone had this evening for our first virtual meeting. It was a little bumpy, but relatively smooth. Staff would appreciate any feedback that you might have at all. We may end up doing this again, and your feedback will actually help us prepare for the Board of Zoning Appeals as well as DDRC. So feel free to email me and I will pass any suggestions or comments on to other staff. So thank you very much. I'll turn it back to Mr. Stigemeyer if you have anything else to say.
No, I would just say thanks to staff for your persistence getting through this for the first time ever. We appreciate it. And with that, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. Thank you, John.